Welcome to Nothing Finer. I'm your host, Rick Beach, along with Austin Allen. Got a big game. Finally, everybody's up for this game. It's Notre Dame week. Real quick, week 3, Georgia goes against Arkansas State, 55-0. Pretty much what everybody kind of expected. Cool thing was the pink out. Remember Wendy Anderson, the coach of Blake Anderson, Arkansas State's head coach, who passed away from breast cancer. Really proud of Bulldog Nation for pulling that off. As far as the game goes, everybody looked about like you'd expect, didn't they, Austin?
Yeah, totally, and some even looked a little bit better. Blaylock looked pretty good, pretty explosive with the ball in his hand, and Kenny McIntosh with the move, man, he put the move on that guy.
Yeah.
Not really a DeAndre Swift type move, but really just really planted his foot and, you know, just real explosive, and into that bounced it to the outside, and
then he got the speed to break away.
Yeah, and you've seen all the guys on the sidelines, their reaction. You know, they was pretty floored by what they just watched him do, and I was too.
Yeah, you go back to Dominic Blaylock, you got to look. I think it was the second possession. He missed the block on third down.
Yeah.
We come up a little short with Harrion. Kirby got him on the sideline.
Yeah.
Chewed him out a little bit. 2 drives later, he goes 60 yards on the reception. Has a huge game, over 100 yards for Dominique. So super proud of him for having the learning experience on the block. Then, you know, they didn't pull him out. They let him learn from it. End up with big game. Pickens, another spectacular catch on the sidelines, coming in, starting to become a norm here with George Pickens.
Yeah, totally. The way he just uses his body to just get into good position and fight for the ball. And, you know, you don't see a lot of guys at the college level who are super comfortable contorting their body in that way. So I think that's a really good sign. So
with Georgia coming out 55-0, now we go what everybody's been waiting for. We've been waiting 2 years to get the Irish at home.
Yep.
They're coming into Athens. Game day's going to be there. It's an 8 p.m. kickoff on CBS. This is what we all wanted. This is what the Austin Peay game and all these small home games, this is why people get these tickets. This is why people watch Georgia football, games like this. I believe it's the first non-conference top 10 matchup, and I believe 50-something years to come into Sanford Stadium. So it's a huge game. I don't know if I'm buying into the Irish being a top 10 team yet again, but they are a top 10 team. Looking at Ian Book at quarterback, 2 games, he's got 6 touchdowns, but he's also the team's leading rusher. They have an injury at running back. So looking at them on defense, they're pretty horrendous against the run. They're giving up over 220 yards a game, I believe, in the 2 games. But that's New Mexico and Louisville running all over them. So when you look at Georgia coming in with our 5-horse stable, 6-horse stable running backs we're bringing in, with these 5 NFL offensive linemen we got, you have to believe Georgia's just going to lean on them.
Totally.
And just break out the running game.
Yeah.
So that's what I fully expect. I don't really think Fromm has to have a big game right here. I think the potential's there for him to have a big game. But how do you see this playing out?
Well, I basically kind of see us scheming it up the way we did this week. Just, you know, obviously we won't run away with a 55-0, but I do see us going inside to out with the run game. I see us pounding it in there with Zeus and Brian, and then trying getting into the edge with DeAndre, and then also the good little jet sweep and orbit action and stuff by James Cook. I think they'll definitely dose that in. And I think he's earned that. I mean, if you looked at his yards per carry, I mean, this kid's been pretty explosive, and I think they'll use him a lot more than a lot of people think they will. As far as throwing down the field, we did take some more shots downfield than usual last week, so I think that'll continue a little bit, just to give an opportunity for more explosive plays. Not saying we'll pass the ball more in general, but I do think we will try to stretch the field because we got the weapons to now.
Yeah, the big thing with James Cook coming in now, you got to defend in the tackle box with Georgia's running game, our offensive line. You have to look deep when you got Demetrius Robertson, who should be back this week. He had a leg injury last week, kind of a nagging deal. They had him out. He should be back. You got the speed with Landers, Pickens. But having that James Cook, now you got to defend the 53 wide. So we're able to get the field every which way you can, and that's where we haven't really been able to do that in the past, whether it be skill set players or play calling. And now Coley showed he really wants to spread the field. That's where James Cook comes in, and that's going to keep them safeties on their toes and open up the vertical passing game, and even open up the running game a little more, especially when we go zone read, which we love to do with DeAndre, letting him make that cut, hit the open field, then you can just fire at the band because you know where he's going.
Yeah, and we love letting DeAndre kind of stretch it out like that, and he makes a cut based on what he sees, and he's got very good vision. And, you know, I like what I've seen from Kenny McIntosh, and their speed was kind of comparable, and the body style a little bit, and but I just like the way DeAndre's so slippery. He's not a
Yeah.
he's not a super hard cutter like you've seen Kenny just stick his foot in the ground and then go from one way to the other super quick. DeAndre's more of a kind of full speed. You don't know which way I'm going to go, so I can just slither around you at full speed, and I think that's kind of dangerous. I definitely want to see more of that, and I think Jake stretching deep is huge, man. You've seen George Pickens. You was there. You've seen.
Yeah, George Pickens is a big dude, but just what he brings on that campus, what he brings on the field every day is.
It's the juice, man.
He's somebody they have to keep an eye on. You have to keep his safety over there because he can go deep, he can go underneath, he can break tackles. He just makes everything you need him to do. The only thing, he had a couple routes he missed. Even on the touchdown, Kirby got him pretty good on the sidelines for running the wrong route, which he probably would have been open. But you're looking at a guy, he's still a freshman. With all this skill set, he's still a freshman.
Still learning.
And Fromm is still learning with him and Blaylock. I know he's had a little bit, 2 years now with Robertson, a couple years with Landers. And Landers had a ball that he almost caught. He should have made a play on. I think he goes for that one-handed catch a little too much, especially on the longer passes. But if they can get that dialed in, this passing game could really, really be deadly. But the issue is, do you really need it to be? Because, I mean, you're going to run the ball. That's what Kirby wants to do. That's what Pittman wants to do. That's what everybody wants to do on the coaching staff is wear him down, wear out the clock, and win the game. I'm looking at this weekend is going to be like the Auburn game last year where it was 27-10, I think, the final last year against Auburn. Mm-hmm. But it could have been a little worse, but we just wanted to run it, and get out of there with a victory. And I kind of could see Kirby wanting to do that this weekend. Yeah. I don't think it's going to be like 2017 when we won 20-19 up in South Bend. I think this will be a little more lopsided. Yeah. And I really think as exciting all the game hype in it, that's all it is the hype coming in. Yeah. I don't think there's no way Kirby don't have this team laser focused come 8 o'clock Saturday night, and they don't just come in here with their knowing what their goal is. Going to be close at halftime. I can see it being a 17-10, 17-14. But at the end of the day, I still see a 38-17.
Yeah.
A 38-14 type victory for Georgia.
Yeah, that's where I was talking with some folks yesterday, and that's what I called it at, right around 31-10. I really don't see us giving up more than a touchdown. They don't have any explosivity on the offense at all. No wide receiver threats, and we don't know the status of Tyson Campbell right now with his foot. But even if DJ Daniel or Tyreek Stevenson was to step in, I think that's still. Our guys are better than their guys, So
I mean, they got one receiver, Claypool, that's pretty good. He's got, we're going to put Stokes on him. So you look at anybody else. With Campbell being in the boot yesterday at practice, I kind of leaning towards doubtful that he's going to play this weekend. But like you said, Stevenson or DJ Daniel, Tyreek McGee's got plenty of experience. Mark Webb at the start, he's been really having a good season and proud of him for that, for all the hard work he's had to put to earn that starting job. But Georgia's issue is more of an experience issue at DB.
Totally.
And not skill set. We got the skills to play out there. And I feel Devon Wilson will get the start over there, and then they'll just switch in DJ Daniel, Tyreek Stevenson with whatever package they want to run. I don't see Ian Book being a threat rushing the ball. This defense is fast. This is a fast defense, and the havoc rate is through the roof.
Yeah.
And Tay Crowder, after the game, talked about all they preach since the spring. Havoc, havoc, havoc. That was his words. Havoc, havoc, havoc is all they preach. Fly to the football. And Notre Dame hasn't seen this since the Cotton Bowl last year when they went up against Clemson and they had 88 yards of rushing. I think Ian Book had 160 passing yards, and they lost 30-3. So and that game was never close.
Never.
But it was blowout from the get-go. So Georgia, Kirby's going to try to say things and make it more of a game, to try to get fans to take it a little more serious. But when he said, well, they played Clemson close until halftime, all seriousness, you just don't think, you're just saying that now. But as long as the team believes that, they take them serious, we're just going to blow the doors off.
Yeah. Speaking of havoc, man, Tyler Clark pretty explosive again. Pretty good game again. The way he just shoots upfield.
He's playing like we've talked about since the summer. It's a money year. He's playing like he knows this
he's playing the way we've seen him play in the Rose Bowl in 2017, and that's just the way we need him to play every play. And if he does that, then there isn't a ceiling.
The sky's the limit for him. He could be a first, second round draft pick.
Yeah.
And it's all on him and his hustle. And the thing is, we still got Jordan Davis, who's a sophomore.
Yeah.
Big dude. He's getting in there making plays. But Trevon Walker is only getting better every game.
Michael Barnett.
He's been there a while.
Devontae Wyatt's
getting better every game. Yeah. But you look on the outside, Jermaine Johnson, Nolan Smith, these guys, they're bringing the heat right off the bus. I mean, this is their third game against Arkansas State, so going into game 4, and then you still got Quay Walker at the inside got him a sack. Tay Crowder got a sack at the inside. We know what Nakobe Dean can do so the talent's there.
Oh, totally.
And this defense is super fast, super aggressive, super intense, and I expect the havoc rate to keep going up. And really looking around the SEC, especially around the East, I don't know when we get to see Georgia have a matchup where they match up equals, because we see what's going on in Knoxville. We see what's going on in Lexington with Terry Wilson. We see what's going on in Gainesville now with Felipe Franks. And I know the quarterback came in, what's his last name?
Kyle Trask.
Trask come in as a junior. Yeah. All this hoopla with him being last year he could have been the starter. But now teams are going to get film on him. Yeah. Now teams are going to see what his tendencies are, and they can attack that.
Well, it seemed like he's pretty much same build, same kind of athlete as Felipe, maybe a little slower, but maybe a touch more accurate. So I mean,
he looks a little bit smaller. He's a little bit smaller, but as far as passing, I think he's more accurate than Felipe.
Yeah,
he's probably a better game manager than Felipe. Felipe gets too aggressive. He has too good of arm strength.
That's kind of what caused Felipe to go down. Was his aggressiveness and kind of not being smart in that play. And I mean, obviously it's a third down, but you got to, when you see a pile of men coming at you like that, you got to do something about it.
Well, as a quarterback, the injuries are going to happen with a pile. You can't go into a pile.
Yeah.
That's where all the leg injuries happen.
Exactly.
And you want to keep your players on the outside. You slide, and as a quarterback, you got to just get rid of the ball. And I hate it happened to him. Even though he does play at Florida, we still hate to see injuries happen.
Yeah,
you never want, especially an injury that severe.
Mm-hmm.
But it could have been avoidable, especially with a guy that's a junior now.
Yeah.
Or a senior.
Yeah, you just got to think about it before you.
Him to know better than to run in there.
Totally.
And when it happened, Kyle Trask come in, leads them down. I think a 6 or 7 their first drive. He was great.
Outscored Kentucky 19-0.
Yeah, they got 3 straight touchdowns. But then again, that's a lot of not having film on the backup quarterback, not knowing his tendencies. Yeah. And I think Kentucky kind of let off the gas a little bit, and that allowed Florida to get that juice, get the momentum, and come right back. If you watch that game, the interception in the second half, the guy gets a celebration penalty, comes on the sidelines, Dan Mullen gets a yelling at him, dude turns around, walks off. That shows you the state of Florida football. There is nobody that respects that head coach there, and right now they're just kind of living – getting by with the skin of their teeth against Miami, then against Kentucky, they get these, get behind and have to come back. And that's going to end. They got Auburn coming up. They got LSU coming up. And I think this weekend they got Tennessee, noon kickoff in Gainesville. I think Tennessee comes in there and upsets Florida, and that throws the East into even more dismay.
Well, Jeremy Pruitt's got to be chomping at the bit to try and get that win for this program and try and save his job, honestly. So.
Right, well, I think, I feel he's still a year away. He still gets this year plus the next year, see how it goes. But I think getting away from Knoxville, get away from the distractions, all the off-field talk, get away from all the negativity up there.
Yeah.
And you're coming off a 45-0 win. So be it was Chattanooga, but a win's a win. It's a little bit it's a confidence. They can go down to Gainesville. It's, them against the world, all that mentality you get, and they can go out there. And we know Florida's undisciplined. You see that every week we've seen them play. And that's what happens when these upsets. It's an undisciplined team starts making mistakes, and their fans are fair weather fans that you ever seen down in Gainesville. They're going to just, if Tennessee gets a lead on them, we've seen them boo Felipe Franks.
Yeah.
So we've seen Felipe Franks react to it. Yeah. So they'll boo anybody. They'll get up and leave the game, and I fully expect that to happen this weekend. I think Tennessee goes in there, knocks them off, and then the East is, what do you say, outside of Georgia, what do you have?
It's in shambles. Man, that game was so sloppy, that Florida-Kentucky game. There's so many unnecessary penalties, unsportsmanlike penalties, times where Kentucky had chances to put the game away, and it gets ruined by a selfish penalty.
Yeah.
So
it was undisciplined, sloppy football.
Yeah, it was terrible.
And right now, is a clear-cut number 2 in the East. Yeah. I mean, you set it over the summer. So, yeah. They slipped up against Wyoming early on. But, that happens. That happens in week 1.
Oh,
sometimes you look, Tennessee lost to Georgia State at home. That's not that you go to Wyoming, you got an altitude adjustment. You have a lot of differences. So the East is really bad. Then you look over in the West, and we know what LSU is doing. Everybody knows what Alabama is doing.
Yeah, A&M's actually favored to beat Auburn this weekend.
I think it's 4.5
points.
4.5.
Yeah.
But Arkansas, they played Colorado State, beat them by around 20 points. So you look, they're starting to turn things around over in Arkansas. Are they going to be able to compete this year? No, but they've already
still don't have the
showed.
guys,
Last year I think they won 2 or 3 games.
Yeah.
So they're already improving on that. So they're getting better over there. And I don't know what needs to change in the East for things to turn around, but South Carolina's not hitting on much.
No.
Muschamp was panicking in the second quarter. He was making calls like desperation.
Yeah.
And the fake field goal, great call. It's the same call they ran in 2014 against Georgia, and that flipped the game around. We had the Nick Chubb touchdown. Then they drive down, do the fake field goal, switch momentum, and run away with the win.
Yeah, and if they could have got off with that one without the flag or whatever happened on that play.
I think it was a hold. The tight end was holding somebody on the outside. Yeah, it was a hold,
blatant hold. Yeah, I remember that replay, and that was really a momentum killer. Kudos to Will, though, for just throwing it all out there.
I get that, but why not kick a field goal at the end of the half?
Yeah, kick the field goal going into halftime because – but I see where he was going because the two are so explosive. It's like, man, you can't win this game with field goals.
In his mind, he has to go now. You got to go now because it's only going to get bigger. But if you sit there and you go, I think it was 24-10, you kick it 24-13, then you kick the other one, they end up kicking the start of the second half, you would have been down by 8. Instead, here you are still down by 10. Yeah. So you kind of have to switch it around, and you have to have a little bit of confidence in your defense, especially when you're a defensive-minded coach.
Well, he wanted to, but the way Tua was just carving up those defensive backs, I mean, them guys were out of place. I don't know if they was playing really kind of a soft zone look, but man, they were just getting smashed. And
the Najee Harris
the
touchdown.
Intermediate game for Tua was just on fire.
You look at the 4th down Najee Harris touchdown.
Yeah.
Blatant pick right on the hash marks.
Yeah.
The wide receiver was engaged in the block while the ball was in there. That is a blatant pick. But it's
there
not
was a few of those, but you got to, yeah, exactly. You got to play around that.
But they still had 3 opportunities to take Najee Harris down.
Yeah.
One of them was a linebacker on him and just got shrugged off.
The next one was a scared tackle is what that was. When you come in low and you're looking down like this, you don't want to tackle that guy. You're scared to tackle that guy.
You're hoping you trip him up. That's all they're shooting for.
And Najee Harris made him pay for it, even though Najee Harris isn't, the best overall back around, but, he made him pay for it on that go-round.
He hadn't lived up to the hype he had coming out of high school as the number 1 running back.
He does not have good top-end speed.
But you look at, we've talked about it for a couple of weeks, and we talk about it privately all the time.
Yeah.
This Alabama depth is an issue.
Yeah, it is.
We've talked about it 2 weeks ago.
It's bad.
You look at this weekend, it's getting worse.
Yeah.
It's not getting better for them. They had another injury this weekend on the defensive line.
You got LeBron Ray, and we're not sure the extent of this injury, but I mean, if it's severe, I mean, that's a huge hit.
When somebody says an undetermined time, then that's where it's saying we think it's going to be long term.
Well, and it's even magnified by the fact that they had the guy Antonio Alfano enter the transfer portal
number
last
1 player
week. So
that position.
Yeah. So
and then we know what happened with Sanders.
Yeah. So Trey Sanders went down for the year, and
Dylan Moses goes down.
They're adding up, man. They're adding up quick at different positions, at very important positions.
Yeah, the middle.
Yeah.
The middle's getting weak, and that's been their strong point for the last 10, 15 years since Saban's been there. The inside linebackers, defensive line, then had these outside edge rushers, but it's not there this year. They got the talent there, the experience, and we talked about it a little bit with Georgia's depth at defensive back. But, at least Devaughn Willis, he played in the Sugar Bowl. He's got a little bit of experience now.
Yeah, he got some experience out of that.
So Alabama's gotten a little depth issues. Now, they're going to keep blowing some of these teams up.
Oh, yeah.
They got Southern Miss this weekend. You know how that's going to go. Ole Miss next weekend. You know how that's going to go. But, when they get to the LSU, even Texas A&M could slip up on them. That has a little bit of depth, that has a little bit of the skills. Alabama could run into some issues later on this season because of this depth finally catching up to them.
Totally.
And I really don't know what to think of LSU, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's Joe Burrow's. Joe Burrow's pretty solid and definitely intense leader and good playmaker. And the question with me right now is, because I've seen the improvement in the passing game finally, best looking passing game at LSU since Mettenberger for sure. But the defense is what kind of is a question now, because they ended up blowing out Northwestern State pretty good. But I watched the first half of that game, and Northwestern State was going tit for tat with them, and that's kind of sketchy to me.
Typical LSU defense. That's the thing. It's not what we've expected over the last 20 years out of DBU. We're not seeing that now. We're not seeing them be as dominant on the defensive side of the ball, and maybe that's because they put so much attention to try to turn the offense around for the last 5 years. They've been trying to get the offense going. They finally have something going over there. It is a great offense. But then again, When are we going to see it? You know, let's see it against Alabama.
Yeah, let's see it against Patrick Surtain and these guys. And
Auburn. Auburn's got a good defense. Let's see it against Auburn and see how they match up.
Yeah, we'll see it against Florida. I mean, don't they got Florida in a couple weeks here?
Yeah, they'll have Florida coming into Death Valley in a couple weeks.
Yeah. So,
you know, Tennessee this weekend goes to Florida. Florida's got a lot of tough games before they get to us.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a lot of film on them. I'm really just not, you know, we've talked Florida's paper tiger.
Yeah.
Tennessee obviously was paper. They don't even a paper tiger. They were just hype this all season.
Yeah.
But we talked about Missouri a little bit ago.
Yeah.
I really like where that offense is heading.
Yeah, me too.
And Barry Odom has their defense always turns around late in the season.
Yeah.
It always seems around mid-October, November they dominate.
Mm-hmm.
But they're getting it turned around a little bit sooner this year, and they have a very, very manageable schedule before November.
Mm-hmm.
And you really got to think they're looking at being 7-8-1 when they come into Athens later on, and that's going to be a scary game for Georgia because that is a matchup that Georgia might not like to have on their offense against us.
Yeah, well, as far as for us defensively, it'd be a more of a challenge, you know. But and I see Kelly Bryant making some plays. He's only going to get better the more comfortable he gets in the system. But defensively, I still don't think Missouri can hold up to where. Because when I was speaking on Missouri being what they could be, you know, I didn't realize how explosive this Georgia offense could really be at that point. I mean, this is amazing, the level of production we're able to put up.
And we're so balanced. We've never been this balanced with Kirby Smart. We're like 270 passing, 270 rushing, 260 passing.
Yeah.
We lead the SEC in total offense, and Fromm ain't even played a whole 3 quarters yet.
Yeah.
So you're looking at it, you know, our offense is just getting after it. Very, very aggressive, and you said explosive. They are, you know, catch it behind the line of scrimmage, make one man miss, and take it to the house. And we haven't really seen that at multiple players that could take it to the house.
Yeah.
And so it's very, I don't know, this offense is scary good. Now, I hate getting excited about it.
Yeah.
Because in the past, I'll make sure I bring that up. In the past, we've seen Georgia teams do this. I don't see this Georgia team in this atmosphere this weekend.
They're not going to fold.
No, I think they're going to come out as explosive as we've seen all season.
There's no folding in this team. I don't see it. I just see a totally different body language, total different mentality, total different diction when they give post-game presser.
Right.
It's just everything's different.
The focus. Yeah. You can go as soon as that game was over Saturday. Everybody was laser focused on Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Every player was laser focused on what's coming up, and they know game day's there. They know everybody's coming. UGA said they expect between 80 to 95,000 people not going to the game to be in Athens.
Yeah.
It's going to be, and those are going to get there before Saturday. So the whole town's going to be, and the players feel it. Yeah. They feel the juice, they feel the energy, and they'll feed off of that.
Yeah.
Now, Notre Dame went to the Cotton Bowl last year, went to the playoffs. This is going to be a different atmosphere. This is not the same Sanford Stadium that we've seen. Yeah. You know, I'm as excited about this game. Last time I got this excited, 2015 Alabama.
Yeah, and
when we was the favorite, first time Bama have been an underdog in multiple years. But this team is a lot different from that team.
A lot different. A whole lot different. Better quarterback, better across the offensive line, better across the defensive front, better in the secondary, more confident. So I don't, you know, like I said, 31-10, I see that happening. I see maybe more than that happening. I see us trying to be more explosive. Like I see us doing the 2 running back set with James Cook, getting this out in space, you know, and trying to stretch them out. And then once we stretch them out, we gash them up the middle.
And that's what we've been doing is we can spread you out wide. Like we said earlier, you got to defend the 53 wide. And once you do that, then we start hitting that middle. Then we can go vertical. And when you can do all 3, we've seen Alabama been able to do it.
Yeah.
You know, with Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
And they can mix it up. And now we can have that. Yeah. And Clemson did it last year. Once they got Justin Ross going, that changed their whole offense. And Clemson ain't really been hitting on as much. Trevor Lawrence hadn't this year. I think he's got 5 touchdowns and 5 picks.
Yeah, 5 picks, and just kind of been getting rattled a little bit, and the line's kind of been giving up some easy kind of sacks.
But in his,
you know, it's kind of concerning. But you know,
but for him, he's got 10 games left, and none of them against ranked opponents.
Yeah, and you know, Clemson's notorious about that. Clemson's been notorious about being kind of lackluster at the beginning, and then, you know, peaking right when they need to. But, you know, I do see concerns. And they also don't have very much running back depth. I mean, they lost Tavion Feaster to South Carolina. You know, Travis Etienne is their workhorse. So, I mean, at some point you're going to need some fresh legs to step in there and take some weight off of him.
Lost 3 to the NFL.
Yep.
So Clemson could run into issues, but we won't see them issues until the playoffs.
Oh no.
They play Texas A&M. That was their game.
Unless Miami can somehow rebound and grow and make it back to the championship game, I don't see anybody in the conference giving them any kind of.
Yeah, but even if they make it back to the championship game, I think it'll just be last year's the stepping stone to the playoffs.
Totally.
Which they're playing they play the games that are on their schedule.
Yeah.
I get it. I'm not saying Clemson. They're a good team.
Yeah.
But it could eventually it's got to catch up as far as not playing somebody. Then all of a sudden you got to play a great team. But we saw last year and they did the same thing. Then they blew out Notre Dame and everybody thought, well, they ain't played nobody. Well, heck, they played Alabama, toasted them. And really, I think it's because they've been able to just have these practices. And then Alabama was their game all season, where Bama ran through the SEC, had a tough game with Georgia, a tough game with Oklahoma. Then they run into a buzzsaw out in California.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, but really, SEC real quick before we get out of here, Texas A&M hosting Auburn.
Great.
We talked about it a little bit.
It's going to be a great game.
Auburn's 4.5-point dog. I was kind of surprised with that.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
How do you see that game turning out?
You know what? I'll take A&M outright. I just think Kellen Mond's he's just pretty experienced. And I think, Bo Nixie, he's going to take some lumps. I think he's going to take a learning curve. And, I think, the key thing for Auburn fans is to be patient with this, because you see the talent with Bo Nix and you see the other key parts that can come together. But the thing that isn't coming together is the running game. And, people will say, well, they had 100 yards, against Kent State. It's Kent State, So I definitely see A&M pulling this one out at home. So
yeah, I see it. If Auburn wins, I think it'll be a quarterback change. I think Gatewood comes in and he wins the game for them late.
Yeah,
we've seen Auburn do this before. We see defense will keep it close. I think Bo Nix comes out, Gatewood goes in, wins the game for him, creates a whole new quarterback controversy going throughout the season, which could be an issue. The other game we talked about, Florida, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
I see Tennessee win. Real quick, just name the winner.
Florida.
Florida wins it. That's all the time we got this week. If you're going to follow us on Twitter, @NothingFinerPod, be sure to hit on there. Facebook.com/NothingFinerPod. We're on iTunes. Check us out on iTunes. If you're driving to the game, you want to hear some other stuff that we have on there, it's iTunes. You go just search Nothing Finer Pod. And YouTube, if you get on youtube.com/NothingFinerPod. If you're watching on YouTube, hit subscribe, like the video, hit the bell for the notification. We need all that good stuff. And then we got the website. If you don't have iTunes, we got all the audio there. We got the archives. We got some new stuff coming up on the website, nothingfinerpod.com.
Absolutely.
What was your score again for this weekend real quick?
31-10, Dogs.
31-10. I got 38-17 Dogs.
Nice.
It's going to be a super atmosphere there. It's going to be a unique atmosphere. If you got a chance, come over to Athens, tailgate, party, have a good time.
Be loud.
Got to be loud. It don't matter if you wear red or black. That crap don't matter. Wear Georgia colors. Be supportive of your team. The team's wearing red. God bless. And go Dogs.
Out in the woods you'll find me